Reverend Jesse Jackson says that gun violence in cities like Chicago, as you've just heard, is, quote, a national security issue. The civil rights activist is also the founder and president, of course, of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Reverend Jackson, welcome. Good to have you here this morning.
Good morning.
You know, I mean, the big issue here appears to be that Chicago has such a high rate of homicides, more than 500 last year, and they simultaneously have some of the toughest gun laws in the nation. So how do you justify those two things? It would appear that that's not working.
Well, 506 people were murdered, 175 under age 18. In Chicago, it's not just guns, it's in the context of guns, drugs, and poverty and race. And so it was kind of dismissed for too long. There are no gun shops in Chicago, but they make guns in Barrington, the suburbs. They make guns in Rock Island. And so Chicago is a target market for gun sales manufacturers. And so as drugs come in from across the border, it's a drug cartels are there, drugs in, guns in, and jobs out. That's a deadly cocktail.
Yeah, indeed it is. You know, but it raises this question about federal gun laws and whether or not changing them at the national level is the right way to go, because every community, as you point out, is unique. You're talking about an urban issue, gun emergency, some would say, in Chicago, homicide emergency. And then you've got totally different issues in North Dakota and different places across the country. So is a one-size-fits-all remedy the right way to go?
Well, first of all, the mental background check should be nationalized. The background check should be nationalized of the gun shows 40% there's no background check whatsoever. The amount of clips used, bullets in a magazine, should be dealt with nationally. Of course, semi-automatic, these assault weapons. Hunters, you want a gun to hunt with, and it's registered, you got that. A gun to protect your house, you got that. Though you're more likely to end up with shooting a relative and suicide than a robber. But gun for your house, gun for hunting, you got that. These semi-automatic weapons, these assault weapons, can only kill people, and in fact, they are threats to national security. I went out where the young man did the killing in Aurora, Colorado, with the arsenal he had. He was right near the airport, right near the runways at the airport in Denver. He could shoot down airplanes. So this is a matter of homeland security as well.
You know, it seems to me that the problems are so different, though. You look at, you know, sort of a mentally deranged young person who plots in the basement of his home to murder innocent people, right? So that's one sort of situation that we're dealing with here, that everybody wants to find some way to get their arms around and try to fix. Then you've got, you know, an urban issues homicide situation that is completely different and is clearly not being remedied. I would, you know, just point out again, by the very strict gun laws that are in effect in Chicago. So people look around, they say, well, more gun laws? That's not going to make a difference. Chicago has a tremendous number of restrictions on locking your gun and all of that, and it's not working.
But the assault weapons are coming in. We know where the gun shops are in the suburbs. If you were in Iraq today and we had soldiers there and you knew where guns are being manufactured, and the trail and what they were being sold, we would stop that trail of gun flow because we kill our soldiers. We know where guns are manufactured. We know where they're sold. We know where legal guns become straw purchase guns. So the guns flow in. The mayor really cannot stop that, knocking the police chief.
So what's the solution for that, Reverend? I mean, is it stiffer penalties? Is it, you know, longer jail time? What is it? What's the penalty? What's the remedy for what you're talking about?
Part of that is to make manufacturers more accountable for their product. Is to make cigarette manufacturers more accountable for their product. What function do assault weapons hold except to kill people? Hunters shoot rabbit and deer, not with these weapons. So what is their function? And they shot an AK-47 in the White House last year, 800 yards away, and the barrels careened off the window in the White House. None of us are safe. No official, nobody's safe with these weapons on the streets.
I completely understand what you're saying, and I think there's so much to address here. But specifically, if you could, you know, address this, what do you say to those gun advocates across the country who say, look, obviously, more rules does not help the problem? If it did, Chicago would be the safest city in the nation because they've got the toughest rules in the nation. What do you say to them?
More guns make us less safe, not more safe. The idea of bringing more guns in schools for teachers, guns beget guns if teachers can have them, some of them may have mental, emotional challenges as well. If they can bring them in, students bring them in. You bring guns into ball games and to churches. At what point do we stop? You know, we look with folks in Chicago there, 500 killed, 32,000 killed a year, 32,000 killed a year. Americans, 100,000 injured who don't die. You look at Chicago, but Aurora, Colorado is not Chicago. Nor is a shopping center
exactly. And that's precisely the argument for letting states and local entities handle this problem rather than a national law, because people say Aurora is a completely different situation than Chicago. One last thought from you, sir.
If you go today to get your and get a traffic ticket, if you got one in Seattle or Miami, there is a universal check on driver's license violations. Mental background checks, gun background checks. Felons should not have these guns. Those who have records should not have these guns. There should be some things universal and some things perhaps particular. In the meantime, let's get these assault weapons off of our streets. We're just waiting for another tragedy to happen unless we do.
All right. Reverend Jackson, very complex issue. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir. Good to see you as always.
Thank you.